Hiya, and welcome back to Password, the game that teaches us that, Sona twinning, right? Game that teaches us that we probably shouldn't give the gay guy a gun. Quick fact. Hell yeah. Quick fact. With, little character's design. I designed him to look like me. Yeah. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Theta, the little character there. Little character dude. Like, by design, he looks like me. I know, thank you. Okay, do we want to visit the vault or stay in bed? I mean, Dean's gonna die, so... Yeah, we gotta let Dean die. We're gonna let him die. We should just visit the vault to be safe. We're gonna visit the vault just to be safe. No more password.
I could probably go for taking a dip in there, too. Although, really, I just want to wade around in the water, given the weather seems nice.
Rip Dean. Who should we check in on, Dean or Roswell? Is it even a question? Is it even a question who we're going to check in on? I don't think it is. I don't think it's a question. Oh, Roswell, since Dean is going to die. Oh, we got one for Roswell. Check on Dean. Got one for Dean. Yeah, we are going to come back here, Amethyst. Yeah, we're going to do both. We're going to check on Roswell.
Oh, I've just got a lot on my mind, really, nothing serious. Not so much that, other things. It's alright, though. Sometimes it just helps to think things through.
Don't worry, Amethyst, we will check in on Dean. If you're sure. Just don't overthink it. Could be out here all day if you do.
I promise I won't.
Hi, Bacon. We love you, Bacon. We stand the bacon. Oh, Dave! Huh? If I had a chance to get anything else out, I was picked up by the midsection and squeezed in a tight hug. Whoa! You don't stand the bacon? But you stand the bear, I think. Whoa, gotcha! What happened next was a flurry of light kisses on my neck with firm one planted right on my mouth before being eased back down onto the floor. I couldn't help but giggle to myself a little bit, feeling my cheeks burn. Thankfully, Dean and I were the last ones here, lest I have to face embarrassment alongside the giddy feeling I was having. Well, all right there, handsome? Is this just how you're going to treat me? How you're going to greet me from now on? Well, sure, why not?
You guys stand the bacon. I don't.
Why did I send the text-to-speech to that cat? Well, sure, why not? Unless there's a problem on your end. Can't stop you for one. Figure that maybe should wait until we're alone, though. Probably a good idea for now, at least while we're testing the waters, right? Of course. Speaking of testing the waters, want to go on a date? Whoa, is it finally happening? Well, maybe not in the original sense of what I was thinking, but I figure we could still do stuff together. Alone. Well, what did you have in mind? Talking to Orlando over lunch and pitched the idea we could have stew, maybe. Say if we could find any mushrooms out in the woods to add to it. Oh, God. Oh, mushrooms? Really? Hey, I'm not much of a hunter, so looking for some sort of game to use it out. Besides, the main appeal is that we'll be out there by ourselves, you know, all alone. I rolled my eyes at him, clearly not giving him the acknowledgement he was looking for to the prospect of having some privacy outdoors. Dean then came in close, whispering into my ear, "And I guess if you want to fool around a bit while we have the privacy, that's an option too." Turned out he just took that as an invitation to be blunt about it and ask up front, earning him a groan. Dean backed off and laughed heartily. It's hard to tell if he was genuine about the suggestion. I wanted to say he was, but with how he was also brushing it off confused me. Yeah, well, maybe if you're lucky. Well, let's head on over to the greenhouse so I can get a few beats and we'll head on out. She'll be fine dressed as is. We're not going to go all that far, I don't think. At least I can guarantee we won't end up like Roswell did. Navigating in there shouldn't be too hard, I think. You think? Okay. I promise I won't get us lost. We'll be back right before nightfall. God, if you're real, please allow us to survive. I don't think we're going to survive this. No, fuck. Dean led the way out back, heading towards the greenhouse. The weather looked alright. Still sunny from before, but there were clouds on the horizon. Dark clouds. Looks like we might be getting rain tonight. Another good reason to be back before it buckets down then, huh? Alright, hang tight, I'll get us a bucket or something to put stuff in. Maybe a spade, you know? Stuff that might help. Fucking right! I honestly don't know why. Dean will be sacrificed. R.I.P. Dean. You might be missed. Anything I can do to help? No, you're good. Just stay in there and look handsome for me. Won't take too long. The flattery was nice, but it was starting to get a little uncomfortable. After all, should I be giving him compliments? A pet name? Was that something you even do as friends just in case this didn't work out? Off to the side, there was a small seedling, isolated from the others. The supposed suspect daffodil, among other flowers. It still looked like an innocent enough sprout to me. Not that I know if it was supposed to look different than something presumably harmless. Almost ready? Yep, ready when you are. Dean will be the sacrifice for our mushroom snacks. We headed around behind the greenhouse, with Dean leading the way, not once breaking stride. I kept close, eyes darting upwards as the canopy above covered everything in shade. We walked for a little bit before Dean stopped suddenly, looking back to make sure I was still there. Hold his hand or keep following. I think I already know Amethyst's answer. I think I already know Amethyst's answer. Hand holding? How scandalous! As I reached out for his hand, Dean met me halfway, flashing me a smile and giving my hand a light squeeze. Fuck mushrooms. That could be read in so many ways. Fuck mushrooms, hand holding. Come on, not much further. I reckon here's a good place to start looking. Alright, what should we be looking for? None specifically, just be careful though. If you find something, let me make sure it's safe first, yeah? Can't have you getting sick or getting the others sick by picking something deadly. Isn't Roswell's fault that Dean died? I don't fucking know. Wait, there's mushrooms like that out here? Don't know for certain, but more than likely. Doesn't hurt to be careful though. Hiya. So Dean's about to fucking die. How bad are we talking? Oh shit, is that a Goonies reference? I think that might be a Goonies reference. Is it a Goonies reference? Like Amethyst, did you just make a Goonies reference? Wait, no, it might not be. I don't think it is. No, it's the Sandlot. It's the Sandlot. I'm dumb. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. How bad are we talking? And, well, I hope you have fun. Well, let's say. Some can just make you very sick, others will just kill. Not straight away, mind you, but 8-1 in your toast. And I guess everything else you can either eat safely or will give you crazy hallucinations. My dad used to say that, like, all the time. But no, it turns out it's from 1993's The Sandlot. That phrase, "you're killing me, Smalls." Oh, I really hope you know what you're doing, Dean. I have a pretty good idea of what to look for anyway. Anything I'm not sure of, I just won't bring with us. You're sure? What, you don't question Roswell going? Not sure about how well I'd go? I'll prove it. I think I see something that might be worth checking out. Dean led the way a little further in before stopping, gesturing me closer to something growing near the base of the tree. Base of a tree, fuck. Okay. Know what this is? I'm gonna guess it's a mushroom. Okay, smarter pants, what kind of mushroom? Shiitake, chanterelle, or morel? Okay. Chanterelle. Well, I'll be honest. Didn't think you'd get it, but yeah, that's a chanterelle. Okay. So it's a fancy mushroom. Neat. Dean wandered over to another tree nearby, checked something before gesturing me over. Chanterelle again? No, but that's okay. This is what I want to show you anyway. But it looks the same as the other one, doesn't it? Mostly. There's a couple of ways to tell, at least during the day. But you're telling me these glow at night? Well, yeah, actually. These ones will. What we've got here is a jack-o'-lantern. Looks identical to a chanterelle during the day, but at night they'll glow a soft bluey green. Okay, so how can you tell them apart during the day? Main ways are underside. If the ridges underneath, they're called gills. But if they run parallel, no good. It's a jack-o'-lantern. And if they're all over the place, it's a chanterelle? Not quite, but sure, that works. Huh, alright, I think that's easy enough to remember. If you want to pick some of them for me, I can check them before we add them to the rest. There's a few other types around here, but if I find any that are interesting, I'll show you. Oh, sure, alright. But, you've got me wondering. What, gonna take me up on my offer? No, not that, just mushrooms. They're not like flowers, right? We are going to fucking die. Not really, no. Why? Mushrooms are fungus, I think. Then how do you tell these apart? How do you know to tell these apart? Seems kind of like an odd thing to know offhand, all things considered. Dean's eyes darted to the ground briefly, and he rested his hands on his hips, seemingly thinking his reply over. Well, truth is, I made the mistake once. We were visiting Gramps up in the mountains, and I just assumed I could eat whatever. Looked like the ones that we'd had for dinner before, so I didn't think anything of it. Wait, so which did you eat, the good or the bad? Given the panic, I'm guessing it was a jack-o'-lantern. I just remember getting real sick and needing to drink a lot of water and this funk of black stuff. Plus getting lectured by my mom about putting stuff in my mouth. Oh god, is he going to turn that into a sex joke? You just reminded me, like, there's this song. My brother, he had it set as everything, like his ringtone, alarm song, alarm sound. And I cannot find it for the life of me. I tried Googling the lyrics and I couldn't find it. There was a tense silence while I processed it. At least he was around someone who knew how best to deal with that sort of situation. Not that the lecture did much, mind you. I don't keep Mom up to date on all the things I put in my mouth these days. All it took was that smile and wriggle of his eyebrows to make me laugh, followed up by a quick pat on the head before he turned and looked around. Dean wandered off to another spot and started looking around. Almost disappeared behind the trees, leaving me to the mushrooms in the area. I'm going to keep my fucking mouth shut. I turned to the mushrooms around and started to look them over. Taking heed of Dean's instructions, every second one I found seemed to be bad, and I moved on to the next, adding to the quickly increasing pile in my arms. Dean, we swear to God, if you make a goddamn sex joke about mushrooms, I'll punch you just as hard as Sal did. It was nice out here, just closing my eyes and listening to everything going on in the forest. The rustle of the leaves, the sound of Dean moving around nearby, humming to himself as he did whatever it was that he was doing. On the run. And everybody's done. Na 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 na. Some random song, random sound. That's how it went. That's all I remember of it. I'll have to ask my brother. I'll have to ask him because like that song has been stuck in my head for the past 3 fucking years. It was nice out here, just closing my eyes and listening to everything going on in the forest. The rust of the leaves, the sound of Dean moving around nearby humming to himself as he did whatever it was that he was doing. I think Dean might be humming this song. Please tell me you remember. Please tell me you know what this is. What this song is. Even from where we stood, there was a darkness that veiled everything beyond more trees, to the point where I didn't know which direction the mansion was in. But then something caught my eye, a ways in. A blur of white disappearing behind a tree. I didn't quite catch what it was, but it seemed as though Dean didn't catch it from how he was still on his knees in the soil. I wandered off, mushrooms in my hands, towards whatever it was I saw. Hello? There was a slight echo as my voice bounced off the trees, but other than that, there was silence. Grab a random mushroom and pray gives you a 1-up. A chill went down my spine and I found myself filling the silence with nervous laughter. As much as I was self-conscious about my own laugh, as any hyena should, it was better than the void I was in. Anyone there? Still more silence, causing me to laugh just that little bit more. I began to shake, trying to look around to spot Dean and make my way back, but... Oh no, how far did I even go? Stay put or look for Dean. Damn, I'm fucking back. Gonna stay put and cry. Took another look around before realizing that there was no point going anywhere. After all, there was no telling which way it had even come from. Started wandering in small circles, peeking around the trees to catch a glimpse of him to know which way I should be headed. Dean? I called out, hoping for a reply, but none came. I'm going to be stuck out here like Roswell was, huh? Silence. I was surrounded by it, and after a while I parked by the base of a tree, just listening, waiting for Dean to come find me. Dive, where are you? Must have fallen asleep, but I could have sworn I heard Dean's voice waking me up. Dean! Dean rounded the tree I was sitting under, a mix between distraught, furious, and relieved. Dropped the basket of mushrooms he had and knelt before me, embracing me tightly. Why'd you wander off? Thought I'd lost you out here. It wasn't that unusual raunchy side of Dean that I'd come to expect, but something more primal. Sorry, thought I saw something. Don't do it again. He whapped me upside the head gently before hugging me again. Seriously, he had me worried for a moment. I hugged him back, but it was him who broke away first, retrieving his basket and looking to me. I say you found a couple mushrooms. Yeah, what do you think? Dean took each mushroom off me in turn, double-checking them before either adding them to the pile straight away or giving them a sniff before throwing them in. Not bad, they're all fine, so you've done well to avoid the dangerous ones. Just as well. I only really know how to tell these apart and what a moral looks like. Guess I'd better grab Roswell if I want to search for anything else, huh? I just sneezed. But you couldn't hear it. Or you maybe caught the first of whatever of it.
He's the one to talk. Stop making everything so sexual, for fuck's sake.
Or anything else, huh? Guess so, yeah. I looked past Dean towards the darkness, wondering if the thing I saw originally was just a figment of my imagination or not. Little bloopers. Hiya. You okay? I know this is poor excuse for a date, but... Oh, yeah, I'm good, I think. Maybe just tired? You sure? Positive. Although, I don't really know which way the mansion is. How far in are we, anyway? Little ways in, for sure. In fact, it might be best to head back now. You can take these into Orlando, and maybe I'll go see if Roswell is doing anything and bring them out. I don't think you're done for the day if I'm reading you, right? Sorry, Dean. Yeah, I think I am. Sorry, Dave, but that is my whole character. How about this? I will go a day of nothing sexual just to make you happy, alright? Hiya. Don't be sorry. I should be apologizing that this wasn't much of a date. There will be another opportunity soon, promise. I'm going to hold you to that. I still get to reserve getting a good night kiss. I laughed, shaking my head at where his mind had gone, but it was enough to take the edge off. Sure, Dean, you can still get a goodnight kiss. Dean led the way back and handed off the basket to me while he went to the greenhouse to see if he had another one. Orlando! I bring mushrooms! Oh, mushrooms! Yeah, Dean and I went into the forest and he showed me how to pick, these.
Oh, chanterelles, right? They're pretty telling from their color, no?
Apparently they look like a dangerous one too. Jack-o'-lanterns. I looked over to Orlando, whose eyes darted up from the basket I was holding over to Roswell, not wanting to get any closer. These are all good ones, right?
Did you want me to check?
Dean checked them and said they were all fine, but it couldn't hurt though. Oh, and he said he was probably going back out there and wanted your expertise, Roswell.
Me? Well, alright. I don't want to spend another night out there.
Yeah, but I wouldn't worry about that. Dean found me and led me back out, no problem. Although I did sort of wander off. That was reckless. But I guess you're safe, so that's all that matters.
Right, well, let's have a look at these mushrooms and I'll go find Dean.
Gonna eat them like they're Doritos. In a flash, Roswell scrutinized everything that had been picked, going through and checking the undersides much like how Dean had told me to check. He even picked one out and peeled it, supposedly looking for something. Well, are they safe?
Looks good to me. I'd be willing to eat these.
What a relief. Alright, I'll get to work figuring out what to do with them then. Shame you can't eat them raw, but they're a little rough if you react badly to them.
Well, I'll leave you to it. Dean's probably outside, right?
Greenhouse still probably. Hit over there, you'll probably run into him.
Alright, I'll see you guys later.
We waved Roswell off before I caught Orlando looking at me funny. So? I'm not sure I like that look. Or tone. You don't like mushrooms, Amethyst? I fucking love mushrooms. You like him? Orlando nudged me before taking the mushrooms over to the sink, pulling out a colander and starting to start washing the mushrooms. Fuck. Who, Roswell? No, not Roswell, Dave. Dean! Oh, I felt my cheeks starting to heat up, and once more the nervous chuckling came out as I tried to think of a way to deflect Orlando's question. Nah, fuck. There is something stuck in my throat, and it is pissing me off. Unfortunately, he knew all my tells all too well. I know it. That's adorable.
It's time to drink water.
Well, hey now, it's not like that.
It's time to drink water.
I'm gonna hydrate a bit.
Time
Drink
to
water,
drink
I
water.
know. Well, I mean,
It's time to drink water.
you all will say that I feel like you all will say that Dr. Pepper isn't water, and I'm gonna drink some Dr. Pepper. It's still water. It's just gone through the Yum Yum machine first. It's still water. Dr. Pepper is bar. It fucking is. Well, hey now. It's not like that. Third event. You and him have been trying to get together for a while now. I was worried that sip was never going to come through. You've been shipping me and Dean? For how long? Oh, I sip you with a few people, really. You deserve someone nice, and it's just nice to see you have feeling towards someone else in such a pure way. Ugh. Orlando, please, you're going to make my ears burn with stuff like that. If it makes you feel any better, I think Sal likes me back. Oh? Yeah, this morning went over great. Lots of casual touching. Talked a bit about feelings, even came up behind me once and got real close, if you know what I'm saying. I don't think I do, and I don't think I want to know. Oh yeah, so, hate to be forward, but you've never done anything with another guy before, right? Whoa! That's a bit forward, Orlando. Dean rubbing off on you, or hardly just want to make this your first time is, I guess both memorable and enjoyable? I get the impression that with how big a game Dean talks, that he might be a bit more that you can handle. Only a hunch, though. It was a thoughtful gesture, but I was still reeling from how out of left field this was seeming. What did you have in mind? Oh, nothing major. Just if you need lube and stuff, just let me know and make sure that you have it before you get busy. What the fuck? Well, don't expect me to come asking anytime soon. I think I'm a ways off that still. I don't think he even knows that he'd be my first if we got there. I think he even knows that he'd be my first if we got there. Oh, dear. Couple times in the following silence, I caught Orlando moving to say something. Perhaps offer an opinion or something, but he cut himself off, shaking his head and focusing on washing the mushrooms. In with Kith, all I can offer is the advice to take it slow. I don't think he'll mean to hurt you. Remember, you always have the option of saying no or stopping if it feels uncomfortable.
Always watching.
That shit caught me off guard, Amethyst. That caught me off guard. And if he dares to not respect that, just let me know. I watched as Orlando's eyes flicked across to the knife block nearby before returning to look me dead in the eye. Alright! I'll be sure to let you know! Good. For the rest of the afternoon, I chilled with Orlando, watching him prepare these mushrooms. Didn't look like we were having stew anymore, but whatever Orlando was doing smelled delicious. Fuck. Can't speak. So no stew, right? I helped Orlando set the table. Supposedly Benson had been scarce enough to not do it for us. Not that we really needed his help. Nope, there's leftover pizza still if people still want that. There's a few good nice cuts of meat, given the mushrooms seemed to be a good choice. I think Dean was looking forward to stew, although I'm not really sure. Well, he's just going to have to deal. That said, you guys got heaps of mushrooms. Maybe we can do stew tomorrow night. I hear someone say stew.
We're back with mushrooms.
Whoa. How many did you guys even get?
Yeah, we sort of went overboard. Sorry.
What they brought in was another whole basket of white mushrooms, and from how big the basket was, there were a lot. Oh, what are these? Patty straws. At least that's what Roswell reckons.
Have to be careful, though. They look almost the same as death caps if you aren't careful.
I'm guessing they're pretty bad.
That doesn't even begin to describe it. Eating one puts you on maybe a very painful six-hour clock.
They're pretty bad, Dave. Can't even cook them to make them edible. Their poison will transfer across to whatever they're in. I looked again at the basket Dean was carrying, suddenly pondering just how sure Roswell was at making sure they hadn't picked up even one death cap by mistake.
I wouldn't worry, Dave. Death caps smell pretty distinct, almost like cleaning chemicals, so you'd be hard-pressed to miss one.
Caught a glimpse of Dean flashing me a confident smile before I nodded to Roswell. Alright, if you say so. Despite all the mushrooms that Dean and Roswell had picked, all of them seemed to be staying in the kitchen, as the chanterelles that Orlando had prepped had ended up in a platter between us all, with not another in sight. I had Dean on one side and Tyson on the other, but the wolf seemed content to dig into his steak without paying anyone else any mind. Hiya, welcome back. Dean, on the other hand. Have you had one of the mushrooms yet? Not yet, why? One sweeping motion, Dave plucked one from the platter and held it towards my mouth. Come on, you'll like it, I promise. Oh. The fact he was using his bare hands to feed me felt a little odd, but I must have been caught up in the moment as I found myself opening my mouth looking down at the mushroom between Dean's digits. Not too hot so it won't burn. Promise you that much. Not like it's going to kill you. Didn't even make it to my lips before Orlando batted his hand away, giving him a deadpan stare. Really? Hand feeding? Hey, I'm allowed, right, Dave? Where I could reply, Orlando huffed. He's capable of feeding himself, you know. Have some table manners and at least use a fork next time. Oh. As Dean was looking for his fork, I went and grabbed a mushroom for myself, skewering it with my own fork and shoving it into my mouth. What greeted me was not a taste I was expecting. It was buttery, rich, and almost fruity. Somewhere like an apricot, but meaty all the same. If there was some sort of apricot mixed with steak mix, this would be it. That's not what I was expecting. Good, huh? It's different, I'll give it that. Dean shrugged and chowed down on the mushroom still in his hand. Still missing his fork. Beyond that, there wasn't all that much to talk about, with Haas being the one really leading the conversation insofar as checking in on everyone. Well, that's another day down. Sorry I sort of bailed on you after that first little bit. Nah, it's fine. After all, I think being out in the woods was doing something to me. Or at the very least, I probably couldn't have done a whole day out there. Ah. Fuck. We'll work up to it, maybe. See if we can find the river and do some fishing. Reckon it'd be a long walk? Probably. But you never know. Could be closer than we think. Dean then came in close to the point I could still smell the gravy from dinner on his breath. I know this is a long shot, but well up sharing a bed tonight? What, do you mean like... I mean, only if you want to. Just sharing a bed unless you say otherwise. Share a bed. Alright, yes, Dean. Sharing a bed sounds nice. I mean, I want to shower before jumping into bed first. Boys, the bear about to get touchy. Oh no. Want to share one together? Is what I normally ask, but I need a good clean toe. Better I handle it solo rather than try and focus when I've got your handsome body in front of me. Tell you what though, I have something I did take care of in the greenhouse before bed, so if you go have a shower, I'll check in on you when I'm done and see where we stand. Dave, if you want me to punch him again, just say the word. Whatever you decide works for me. Alright, sure. Guess I'll see you in a bit. Oh, fuck. Dean headed off towards the back door, waving before disappearing outside. As for me, I headed upstairs. As I got myself clean, I thought about what Dean had proposed. It wasn't that bad of an idea, right? After all, it wouldn't be any different to sharing a bed with Roswell during a sleepover. At least that's what I kept telling myself. A combination of the heat and the suds shifting my thoughts towards what it'd be like to have Dean in the shower with me. Don't die. I make no such promises. Wait, what? I caught my hands wandering. Eyes closed tightly, just imagining what he'd do, what he'd say. But I realized that if I wanted to find out so badly, he'd be coming by anyway. Once changed into some fresh underwear, I began my wait. Bonk Dean. Oh no. Ah! At some point I wondered what was keeping him. He'd been near an hour with no sight of him. There was every chance that he'd gone to bed or had his own shower rather than wait for me. Dean. I'd thrown on a pair of loose-fitting shorts and wandered over to his room. But I found the room unlocked, empty, and no sign that he'd been there since morning. Where is he?
Where's who?
Whoa, Roswell, where did you come from?
Oh, sorry, did I startle you?
It's, fine, I guess. Hey, have you seen Dean?
Dean? Not since dinner, I think. Left with you, right?
That's when I last saw him, too. Said he was going to come upstairs after doing something in the greenhouse.
Then he's probably still out there, right? Just don't stay out there too long without a shirt. You'll catch a cold.
Almost as if on cue, Roswell started coughing, clutching his chest before breathing out a sigh.
Ugh, I can't shake my own cough. Don't have, like, me, Dave.
Sorry, Roswell. Sorry, Roswell. That thing is, like, holding on to whatever it is. In dear life. It's holding on for dear life. You sure you're going to be alright?
I'll be fine. I'll just go make some more tea before turning in. Best of luck finding Dean. He'll be around somewhere for sure.
I headed outside, parting ways with Roswell, and started towards the greenhouse. I should have thought to put shoes on. It'll be fine. As I took another step forward, I stepped in something slick, wet, and I immediately sighed out. Dean, you out here? As I got closer to the greenhouse, I noticed the door was still open, a dark smear on the glass door. Dean? As soon as I stepped inside, there was a sudden smell that hit me full force. Hard to describe, but it was pungent and not overly pleasant. I could hear the wheeze of someone in here. A sharp intake of air like a gasp, but it sent shivers down my spine. What? Okay, this is fucked. This entire scene is fucked.
Body has been discovered!
Dave! Time seemed to come to a standstill as I held Dean's gaze. His eyes glazed over and unfocused. His front was covered in blood and what I assume was dinner at some point. God fucking damn it! Like, this is harsh! Time seemed to come to a standstill as I held Dean's gaze. Yeah. What happened? I don't. Again, that rattling intake of air gave me chills. Watching Dean struggle to keep his head up. Dean, what? I cradled his jaw, trying to get him to focus just long enough to answer. How can I help? What do you need? What happened? The precious seconds following ticked by with Dean saying nothing, staring back at me in a daze. I must have eaten something. I don't feel so good. He turned to the side, dry heaving, but nothing came up. Instead, blood mixed with drool pulled and leaked out the side of his mouth. I'll go get help. Hang in there, Dean. Wait, don't. Please. His strength wasn't there to keep a hold on me, but I stopped all the same, paralyzed in fear of what was happening. Don't. Please. I couldn't tell if he was crying, but his eyes were all over the place, reaching out for me to stay. Dean, you're not... Dave, I'm sorry I didn't. My breath caught in my chest, waiting for him to finish apologizing. But it never came. Instead, all that I got was a single rattled exhale before the tension in Dean's shoulders left and he sat there, limp. Dean? I waited for a moment, staring at his vacant expression. Dean? Hey!
Body has been discovered!
I shook him gently, but no response, his head just lolling limp to the side, chin bumping against his chest and arms slumped to the side. I was making noise before I was conscious of it, yelling in fear and panic, running for the door.
Damage.
Oh, that is very fucked up. That is very fucked up. I got to the back door, collapsing on my knees, clutching my head and just yelling in denial for what I'd just seen. His expression was burned in my head, and no amount of pulling at my ears or yelling seemed to make the image fade. Dave, what's wrong?
Wait, weren't you looking for...
Roswell was by my side in a flash, arm over my back. That lasted for all of a second before I shoved him away, knocking him to the ground.
Orlando, take care of Dave. I'm gonna go check the greenhouse.
All right. Roswell wasn't gone for long, and for all the yelling I was doing, it's no wonder that the others had come outside too. Then we've got no time to delay. We can still revive him.
It's too late. There's no safe way to do it either. I'm sorry, Sal, you can't save him.
I have to try.
No. If I had to guess, based on what he looks like, he was poisoned. We can't risk you getting anything left over that he ate and losing you too.
But how did he... When did he... At some point it started to cling to Orlando, him rubbing my back to try and calm me down. It'd have to be dinner, right? I felt Orlando tense up and I pulled away from him gently, searching his face for any sign he was the one that did it. It wasn't me, I swear. If it was me, then everyone else could have gotten sick too. Right? If it was Orlando, was there a way he could have done it? Before I say anything to that point, Tyson pulled me away from Orlando. Yeah, that explained why he kept giving Dean looks during dinner, huh? What? Why were you watching Dean? I'm not allowed to look at Dean? Tyson seemed keen on singling out Orlando as the culprit, with Sal having to act as a meat shield and play mediator while Haas got in contact with the police, or someone else on the phone. At some point I wandered back to the greenhouse. I think Ross was following too, just to get away from the argument happening at the back door. Dean, as much of a mess as he was, tried shaking him again, hoping he was just out of it or asleep, but got nothing.
Dave, maybe you shouldn't...
I stepped back, looking him over before shooting Roswell a look. You said poison, right?
Yeah, something obvious to me. I could tell by his hand.
His hands looked fine to me, covered in blood and whatever else maybe, but...
You can't smell it?
Smell what? The blood?
Not that. Ammonia.
Ammonia?
I wouldn't worry, Dave. Death caps smell pretty distinct. Almost like cleaning chemicals, so you'd be hard-pressed to miss one.
Death cap!
Wait, what?
That thing you said before, about them having that smell, was he killed with a death cap?
That's what I was thinking, yeah. At least that's what it smelled like from his hands.
Wait, but that'd mean...
That he ate one himself?
Something inside me suddenly felt heavy, and rapidly sunk down to rest on my stomach to make me feel violently ill at the prospect. Suicide? It can't have been!
But he did eat one, or even multiple, to speed up how fast it happened. When?
When could he have eaten something like that? He seemed fine after dinner, but he said he was going to come up and check in on me. That's not something someone that would kill themselves would do, right? I pondered this question right up until the police arrived, peeling me away from being near Dean. I just wanted to find out what happened, both the who and the how. As belligerent as Tyson was throwing the blame towards Orlando, the police didn't place any of us under arrest until after we'd been questioned. But it seemed as though Orlando was still the prime suspect. It came as bittersweet. On one hand, it was reassuring that suicide seemed to be the least likely cause of death. But on the other hand, I wanted to believe Orlando didn't do it either. The funeral was hard. I didn't realize Dean's family was so large. He'd said he had a big family, but I didn't realize just how big it was. I'd met some of them before, but it was hard enough seeing his mother bawling before her son's coffin. Harder still when she scooped me up and started babbling about how much Dean talked about me. Days turned into weeks and I was at home sitting outside, mourning the gap Dean had left in me. It was hard to say just how much of it was because I was there in his final moments as opposed to anything deeper than that.
Hey, Dave.
I almost jumped, not expecting anyone to address me. He looked to have stepped out of a fancy black car, chauffeur in the driver's seat, and his father watching me with a steely scowl. Hey. I got up and went to walk towards Orlando, but he stayed firmly on the other side of the gate, leaning on it, refusing to look me in the eye.
Listen, I just wanted to come by and say goodbye.
Oh, where are you going?
Away. Proven innocent in the trial, but...
He let the comment hang there, and as soon as he made to look me in the eye, I averted my gaze, still uncertain.
I thought so. You don't believe that I'm innocent, do you?
I don't know! I shouted at first, shrinking into myself upon realizing what I'd done.
Uh-huh. Well, I better go. I'm sorry.
Goodbye, Dave. Take care of yourself. He was already in the car before I'd managed to get the latch on the gate open, and I stepped out into the road behind the car as it disappeared down the street and out of sight. That was the last time I saw Orlando in person. Last I heard, he was working as a pastry chef on the other side of the country. Picture of him in front of his shop in a magazine I happened across a year or so later. So tell me again where we're driving to the other side of the country to go see Orlando. And you couldn't fly because you offered to keep me company and you said, fuck no, a road trip sounds more fun and you need some cheering up. For the next half hour, Tyson just grumbled in the seat next to me, keeping his eyes on the road. So, you sure you're okay enough for this? Huh? Look, I know I'm not the fucking brightest, but you've been moping outside your house more times I've walked by than I can count. I think so. I still miss him. I miss them both, really. And you couldn't just call the homo and say sorry over the phone? I need to do this in person, I think. We were friends for years and I owe him that much. We drove to the other side of the country for what seemed like weeks. It's hard to tell as Tyson kept detouring to go look at stuff. He was trying his best to distract me or make me feel better. At some stage he even stopped at a hardware store and got some cans of spray paint, saying that if I needed to vandalize something to feel better, he'd be along for the ride. When we arrived, Tyson waited in the car, saying simply that he'd just wait for as long as I needed. It was late, no one else was in the store, and it looked like Orlando was just inside sweeping, preparing to close up. No sooner than I'd opened the door and the bell chimed, he turned to me.
Welcome, I'm about to close, but... Oh.
Hey.
I'm about to close up, so you should probably leave.
No, Orlando, wait, I want to apologize.
You want to apologize? Now? You left me in the lurch, Dave. I remember how you looked at me.
Do you know how that made me feel? How it felt to have someone you thought of as your best friend think that you killed someone? Do you even know what it's like to sit there in a defendant's chair with a jury deciding if you killed a mutual friend? Or what it's like to be in a holding cell? It's haunting. I'm so scared. I shuffled uncomfortably in place as Orlando shook, holding tight to the broom he was propping himself up with. I felt abandoned. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Then why? Why did you think I did it? How could you think that poorly of me, Dave? You blamed me, whether you outrightly meant it or not, over a mushroom. I can't look at you right now. Get out. Still in town tomorrow afternoon, then maybe I'll be ready to talk more then. But I'm torn between hugging you for missing you and hitting you for how much you hurt me. Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. Orlando went back to sweeping, turning his back on me, but from what I could make out, he was just waiting for me to leave. Tyson and I stuck around for another day, but much like the day before Orlando shrugged me off, he wasn't ready. Apologized and asked me to not come back. It hurt, but sometimes things just end up that way. So... I looked at Tyson as he was trying to find the words, eyes focused on the stretch of road before us. We don't have to go back if you don't want. What do you mean? Well, you've still got me, yeah? Tyson pulled over, drummed his fingers on the wheel before leaning over and pulling me into an awkward hug. Anywhere you want to go, I'll take you there. Just want you to be happy again, alright? Before I had a chance to hug him back, we were back on the road. We ended up back home at some point, long enough for me to get some more of my things before we set off again across the country to find a place to move in together. By chance, I just happened to notice the letter stuck under the doormat at the front door. Who left this here? I picked up the letter. The only thing written on it was my name on the front in unassuming handwritten letters. Hey, you ready? Let's get going. Tyson was waving me over from the car, trying to get me to hurry up. Read the letter now? Do we want to read the letter? Tyson is so sweet. I shot Tyson a look and tore open the letter, scanning its contents. I'd gotten a lot of letters similar to this from Dean's family, hoping I was doing okay, much like I'd sent them. But this one was addressed from someone else. Come on already, read it in the car. Wait. My eyes narrowed on the page as I read it over again. Dearest Dave, I am sorry for your loss. Losing Dean was painful and the world is a darker place without him. And, regrettably, by the time you read this, I'm not sure how much longer I'll be around either. I'm sorry. I should have known better. I should have been more careful. There were mushrooms out there that were dangerous, and I should have stopped him. Dave, promise me that when I'm gone, you'll take nothing to chance. Be careful, but you'll live your life to the fullest. Roswell. No sooner had I read the name that I pulled out my phone and tried calling Roswell, but all I got was that the number was disconnected. Who you calling? Tried again, but when I got the same message, I just stared blankly at my phone, confused but bordering on angry. Roswell, here. I gave Tyson the letter and he read it, sighing out soon after. What did you want to do? Is there anything we can do? How long has he even been here? Tyson put an arm over my shoulder, checking his phone before putting it away and grinding a knuckle gently into my head. Come on, let's make tracks. As we drove off, I found myself thinking about everything that happened. How it could have happened. That what Roswell said happened. And if there was any way I could have stopped it from happening, I don't think I'm going to ever eat mushrooms again. Huh? Just a single mushroom is all it took. A death cap. Right? Dunno. I try not to think about it. I'd rather just buy mushrooms from the store, I guess. Yeah. And so we drove off in search of a place where we could leave all this behind us. Bad end, Dean. Resonate? Yes! I made my way down to the vault, combined with the gut feel. Yeah, you already read this. Alrighty. Going to put... There was a moment's pause before the LED panel flashed vividly. Almost immediately I felt something grip in my chest. A tightening sensation that made it hard to breathe. Death all around. Death for everyone. Come get your free death. Come get your free death. It's free. End your mortal suffering. Death for free? I know! So immediately I felt something grip my chest, a tightening sensation that made it hard to breathe. I could hear my heart beating hard and fast in my chest as something like a memory flashed across the forefront of my mind. I gasped out of breath, and no sooner had I been given enough of a reprieve for air, the tightening came back full force. I fell to my knees, clutching my chest. Will there be free feet for some people? What? The pain spiked once more before fading away to nothing, as if it was never there to begin with. What the hell? I looked towards the input panel and gulped, wondering if it had somehow drugged me just by touching it. There was no sensation on my fingers that may have hinted as such. I put it down to being half asleep still, but I was rattled enough and awake enough to find that claim empty. Was Dean in trouble, though? Sick, maybe? Something to keep in mind for sure. I took one last look around the room before heading back to get changed for breakfast. And this time, just for you, Amethyst, we're going to check on Dean. Leaving Roswell to get reacquainted with the pool, I wandered over to Dean, fiddling with the controls off to the side. What happened to getting into the hot tub? Hey, cut me some slack. I only just got over here. Despite turning back to the controls, he seemed to be hesitating switching them on. Struggling to turn it on, or it seemed to be working fine last night. Nah, that's not it. Just trying to figure out what temperature I wanted at. Obviously hot is best, but maybe that's overkill given it's already sunny. But if you're going to join me, why don't you pick? Dean then came in close, shooting Roswell a cautious look before returning his attention to me. And if you want, we can back out a little when Roswell's not looking. I glanced over to where Roswell was. Seemed content just splashing around for the time being, seemingly lost in his own thoughts. Well, can we do both? I'm gonna give him a little kiss. Why wait until we're in the hot tub? Before Dean could say otherwise, I threw my arms over his shoulders and leaned up to kiss him, pressing my nose against his. Right as I pulled away, though, Dean chuckled, wearing a roguish grin. Oh, that's how we're going to play it. In a flash, Dean's hands were on my hips, pulling me closer just for him to kiss me back more firmly, making a point of grinding his quickly growing bulge into mine. Oh, fuck. Alright, hot tub, now, before we forget Roswell's also here. Good idea. Dean hobbled over to the controls, adjusting himself before coming over to join me in the tub. So, last night was pretty good, right? You mean the movie? Sure, the movie. Dean then came in real close, pressing his body against me. And then maybe everything that happened after? I didn't come on too strong, did I? Lost the right to ask that when you kissed me. Okay, you got me there. But you know what the next step is after that, though, right? Already pushing for more? We both laughed it off, although I did catch Dean adjusting himself under the water. If you're lucky, maybe you'll get to see what I'm packing sooner rather than later. Maybe they didn't do the horizontal cha-cha yet. Oh, really? Well, if you want to see what I've got, you just need to say the word. We weren't sitting in the tub for all that long before Roswell came over to see what we were doing before jumping in himself. Gonna hold his hand. We're just speed running right now. We're just speed running. A chanterelle. Gonna stay put and call out for Dean. What did they do? They didn't do anything, actually. And I'll discuss it anyways. I don't give a shit. At the mention of that, I yelped suddenly, clamped my mouth shut, all the while aggressively knocking Dean's hand away, watching as the mushroom in his hand fell to the floor. The rest of the table going quiet. Did I do something wrong? I felt my heart pounding in my chest, remembering what I'd seen earlier. Dean, The image of him slumped over, lifeless, flashed into my head, and I felt a pang of sadness begin to well up. Maybe it wasn't sadness, just relief seeing him still alive. You okay, Dave? Actually, maybe you'd benefit from fresh air. Your eyes are going all weird. Dean stood up, gesturing me to follow, and as I did, Tyson grabbed me by the arm, giving me a hard stare, searching my face for a few moments before letting me go with a nod. I stepped cautiously around the mushroom on the floor and followed after Dean, looking back at the people still at the table. Most seemed confused. Orlando was in the middle of picking up the mushroom from the floor, catching my eye with a look of hurt as we left the dining room. Dean held the door open for me and closed it behind us when we were both by ourselves. So, want to tell me what I did wrong, or should I just start apologizing? Because if it's about trying to feed you, I didn't mean anything bad. I just thought maybe it'd be something cute, promise. If I move too fast, just let me know. I promise I won't get offended. Please don't be upset with me. I didn't mean. I sighed out, holding my arms, half hugging myself. Are you cold? I can give you my shirt if that'd help. Dean. Yeah? You aren't thinking of killing yourself, are you? Excuse me? You heard me? You haven't... That's not a very nice thing to suggest, Dave. Also makes for a shitty joke. Why would you even ask something like that out of the blue? I don't know. When I went to the vault and messed around with it, Again, that image flashed in my head and I shut my eyes tight, trying to force it out of my head through sheer will. I thought I saw you dead. Poisoned, I think. What? I know it's dumb, but just... Please tell me that you're not... Never. I would never. It's stressing to think about, but... Well, damn. If we're being honest, I have too much to live for. I'm not going to go all soppy saying that I'm only living because I'm hoping to be with you. That's not fair to either of us and would be a lie. Don't get me wrong. I'm almost certain my life is better with you in it. The more the better, I think, anyway. I can promise you this, though. This bear is 100% wanting to live. So, come here, silly hyena, and give me a hug. I didn't really need to move. Dean took it upon himself to close the distance and squeeze me tight. It was a sweet, tender moment right up until I heard his stomach growl. Oh, right, I kind of flipped out, didn't I? To be honest, being a little hungry is okay on my end to make sure you're okay. Hell, I'll settle for leftover pizza if there aren't any mushrooms left. Hang on, did I wash my hands? Dean? Really? You didn't wash up before dinner. Sorry, normally I do, especially after foraging. Especially important after foraging. I don't know if I touched anything nasty out there. Russell was doing most of the guiding. There were some sticky mushrooms out there for sure. Sticky? Like, you touched something sticky and didn't wash your hands? They smell weird too, but yeah, when we were coming back, I got caught up asking Roswell stuff. Must have just forgot. What topic of conversation could have been that distracting you were, well, that distracted? Hey, let a bear have his secrets. Sure, he'll find out eventually anyway. And we're going to stop a bit for the ad. I already know what our stopping point is going to be. It's not this. Dean, 1. Wash your hands. 2. Don't touch me. 3. Wash your hands. 4. Wash your hands. 5. Don't touch me. 6. Wash your hands. We headed back, and when we got there, I apologized to everyone before sitting down and keeping my gaze averted out of embarrassment for the scene I caused. Dean went to sit down before giving me a look and nodding, detouring to the kitchen, presumably to wash his hands. Tyson, sitting there picking his teeth with his knife, looked to me and quirked a brow. So you're going to tell me what that was about? Do I need to beat him up for you? Oh, no, not at all. Just, me being weird. Tyson gave me another hard stare before shrugging. Yeah, alright, sure. Whatever, you weirdo. I'm starved. Dean sat down, eyeing off the meat that he'd left behind when we went outside, pausing to turn to me briefly. Hands all clean, promise. I was still on edge, though, keeping an eye on Dean as he ate merrily. The more I watched, the more I wondered the implications of what I'd seen in the vault. Had someone poisoned Dean at some point? Were they still going to? Even beyond that, why? Everyone else had left, with the exception of Orlando, who was cleaning up after dinner. But even he didn't linger. Presumably he was either going to do the dishes later or Benson had them covered. Dean, however, was now watching me carefully, visibly uncertain of what to say. So, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable leaving you alone just yet. Sure you're okay? Me, shouldn't I be asking you that question? I guess, but I've already told you I'm fine, right? It bothers me that you'd think something like that. Did you want to talk about it? I don't even know. There isn't really much to say, really. Guess it was just a bad nightmare or daydream? No kidding, still. Just know I'm not going anywhere, don't plan to anyway. That does remind me, though. I need to go do something out in the greenhouse before turning in for the night, but... wondering if you maybe wanted to sleep in the same bed tonight? I don't want to take advantage. I was planning on asking when I got back from the woods, and timing just made it hard. I'm fine either way, just throwing it out there. Share a bed? Yeah, we'll do it. Found myself nodding, weighing it up. Yeah, that might be nice, actually. Unless you're talking about taking that step. I don't know, though. Could if you wanted, no pressure. I'm just down to get some cuddling in. Honestly, with all the making out we've done, it'd just be nice to cuddle a bit. Cuddling does sound nice, yeah, but I think I'm going to need a shower first. Don't worry, I'm in the same boat. I don't think you need to be smelling me all sweaty after a day outdoors. I'll go finish up in the greenhouse and meet you upstairs. You decide when I get there that you don't want to, no problem. As Dean got up to leave, I grabbed him by the hand, giving him a hard stare. Everything all right? I won't be long, go on. I let my hand fall away and Dean headed towards the backyard. I sat there for a few more moments before wandering upstairs and jumping in the shower. With the hot water falling on me, I started to feel better. Even just resting my head on the tiles made me realize how exhausted I was after a sudden whiplash of thought. What is wrong with me? Dave, you almost done in the shower? Oh, yeah, almost done. Guess whatever it was he was doing in the greenhouse didn't take all that long. Although the thought of just stepping out in front of Dean, even with just a towel, made me nervous. Something about the context of being naked around Dean, it's hard to say. Well, I don't mind this view at all. I was dry but still clung to the towel around my waist as Dean sat on my bed, watching me carefully. What do I have to do with you without the towel, though? Should I undress too? Just, throw me some underwear or something so I don't have to hold on to the towel. Dean rolled his eyes and threw me the pair I'd put on my bed before jumping in the shower. Even had the courtesy of putting his hands over his eyes, although I could still see him peeking through the gaps between his fingers. Mind if I take my shower here, too? Saves me going back to my room to do it. Oh, okay then. By the time I looked up, he'd already relieved himself of his shirt and pants. Oh, I also got this for you. Stepped closer, holding out a single rose cut presumably from the greenhouse. I took it from him carefully, staring at it and feeling my cheeks go red. As I looked at it, though, Dean wrapped his arms around me, tucking them under my waistband and grabbing my ass. So you hold on to that, and when I get out of the shower, brought his mouth down to my ear, speaking softly in a lusty tone. Maybe you'll show me the rest of your straps. Oh! Oh! Let me just... I tensed up suddenly, enough for Dean to pull back and look at me carefully. You doing all right there? Oh yeah, it's just, I haven't... Dean tilted his head at me as the silence lingered, the realization hitting him suddenly after near a minute of waiting for me to continue. Wait, you haven't? At all? With anyone? I shook my head and Dean pulled his hands off my rear, taking a step back. Oh, wow. I don't know how this hasn't come up before, but I'm glad you told me. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to be your first, but I think maybe handling this a little slower will be good. Surprise, motherfucker. You assumed I wasn't a virgin? You're kidding, right? I'm surprised no one's been there yet with how handsome you are. I felt my cheeks flush again. That said, I think maybe spending the night apart might be better. I went to protest, but Dean held up a hand, continuing. This is more out of respect for you. I'm pretty riled up right now, and I don't think doing anything less than what you deserve from your first time is going to do us any favors. Don't get me wrong, I want to go there, but I'm quite big, so it's not exactly something we can do really quick. And I'm very much in a spot where, given the opportunity, I would destroy you. In a good way, I promise. The sound of distant thunder rumbled from outside while Dean sheepishly composed himself. Tell you what, we'll pass on tonight. It'll give me a chance to blow off some steam and take a shower afterwards at my own pace. And you can take some time to decide if this is what you want. Starting tomorrow, if you say you want it, well, alright. Find a time that works so we can make it special. That said, though, so long as we've got this trial arrangement going, you're basically my boyfriend and I'm going to Copperfield whenever I want. As long as it's appropriate, promise. What? Why are we on today's bed? Oh. Alright. Dean wandered back over to the bed to pick up his clothes, not bothering to put them on. Looking at the state of his underwear, chances are people he'd pass on the way to his room might get the wrong impression of what went down while he was here. Still, he headed towards the door, reaching the doorknob before stopping himself looking at me. Am I forgetting anything? Yeah, where's my goodnight kiss? Right you are, better come get it then. I almost bounced over to where Dean was and threw my arms around his neck as he put his free hand on my hip, kissing me tenderly. Good night, Dave. Yeah, sleep well. For the briefest of moments, I thought he was going to say something else, but he waved it off before disappearing out the door. I looked at the rose he'd given me and reveled in the gesture. I was only guessing based on what Dean was saying and what I saw, but maybe he was right. It was better to hold off if I hadn't done it before. That was to say I didn't want to, or at least my attitude on it had shifted towards wanting it over the past couple of days. With thunder rolling in overhead, I figured it was best to settle in for the night. As I lay on my bed listening to the thunder, my thoughts wandered. I could almost smell Dean's slightly earthy musk mixed in with that honey-scented stuff he used either as cologne or as shampoo.
Hands off bear or you'll lose a limb or two.
It was quickly becoming a trigger, making me squirm on the bed that was far too empty without him next to me on it. I left the rose on the side table and looked at it fondly, realizing the irony that likely quite soon I'd be giving my flower up to Dean in some gross, romantically disgusting way. Which would be fine if he hadn't put the idea of getting hammered proper into my head. Oh. The longer I lay there, the more I noticed the faintest of background noise seemingly coming from everywhere in the room, like the walls themselves were breathing. Who are you? Wait, no. Where are you? From what? Hang on, yeah. Then I suppose reminding Dean to wash his hands was just goodwill. Okay, bitch. I'm gonna stick around. And we're actually going to leave off here tonight. Okay, I get it. Not a monster.
Always watching.
That's why you wash your hands. Yeah. I gotta figure out some shit with Dean. Throughout mostly like when the little So yeah. Stay safe, have a good night. Be sure to watch out for a sneaky Sal under your bed, and I will see you all tomorrow.